you games have affected me to the extent that the non-existence of you and me has. I'm not one to play visual novels, and bought this game fully on a whim, not thinking much on it. When I was looking online for people's opinion on it, I only found a few people talking about it, but almost all of them were astounding, overwhelmingly positive reviews. It's a shame that this philosophically deep game that affected me and others on such a fundamental level is overlooked in favor of whatever that is. Non-existence of you and me is an experience I think anyone should have the honor of having, so if you want to play this game eventually, please don't watch this video. I feel as though this game is meant to be one of the most subjective experiences that can be provided, and inevitably me explaining it to you will alter your perspective on this masterpiece. But for the rest of you, what does the non-existence of you and me mean? As of the writing of the script, I've played through the game 2 times and I'm on my 3rd playthrough right now. I am really at a loss for words when it comes to how to make this an entertaining watch, as in the game's short 2 to 3 hour runtime, it covers so much. So I think I'll describe this game chapter by chapter as a compromise. Either way, this video won't be for everyone, and I personally feel underqualified to discuss it, but that won't stop me at making an attempt to do so. When you first load up the game, it's something that I didn't expect. Where start button would normally be lies a continue button, as if you were returning to a story rather than beginning it. This gives us the expectation that we're filling in shoes of a character that has been in this world for quite some time, and we can be confident that this is some world we do not know of. The art style feels almost dreamlike with its relatively simple colors, but also it feels so good to look at in a soothing, sleepy kind of way. Once you load into this game, you're given this blank screen that displays nothing of interest to you. It simply is just there, and we'll hear a voice from someone we don't know.
很高兴你能愿意为我这么做。
This is where I would say my expectations for the game are already broken. I don't know how to approach this, and it feels as if I'm falling in some kind of void. Perhaps I was already reading into this too far, but those were my gut reactions to the scene and not something I develop later down the line. This part of the story just feels like that scene with Mayuri and Okabe in the desert in Steins Gate. Either way, once we get some more odd, uncanny, and off-putting dialogue, we get a line that sets in place a theme, or one of many themes that this game features, and that is of the sin of sloth and wanting to escape. The mysterious voice we have discusses casting out your ability to make a choice and deny the story that is your reality. This feels very escapist for me, but you're free to differ from that opinion, and that concludes our first chapter. We open our eyes to a woman in front of us. The light cascades around her, she tilts her head like we are but an object in her room. We've been waiting in this room for our death for who knows how long, and this mysterious girl is right in front of us. Who am I? You ask this woman in front of you. Or is it that choices in this game are meaningless? The mysterious woman in front of you stares at your eyes as the camera pans across her delicate form. Upon her response of breaking the fourth wall, we are made aware she knows that this is a visual novel. And what about you? Were you the beautiful maiden I encountered? We get a cut and suddenly she is very close. And then we get a nice conversation with, is that our furniture? So our senses and our internal dialogue are brought to us by our loyal subjects, the furniture. They see us as some kind of nobility, which is an odd piece of information. I think it is designed like this to give us, the player, some kind of idea as to what is happening without straight up saying what we are thinking. Rather than with most visual novels, we aren't taking the spot of a character. For example, in Steins Gate, we're taking the place of Okabe. Rather, we are the character. In order to bring a thought to us, the game decides to have the furniture deliver it. Once we complete our banter with our senses, we return to the mystery girl on our windowsill. We lock eyes with her and can continue to do so for forever. This is about how long it took for me to realize that you can in fact go on forever. I might not be the brightest tool in the shed. We break the staring contest with the mystery girl and she asks us if we think she truly exists. That's an odd question. I mean, she is right in front of us, but something about that sticks out in regards to who she is as a person. I won't go any further into it now, but keep a little mental note of this dialogue. I'm not sure. I want to figure that question out with you. This is the only response option we have as a player, and it sets up the whole goal that this game revolves around, determining if the girl is real. Did I just get a hug? You ask yourself in a sudden surprise. She says it's some form of ritual, a motion made to make us feel her presence. It feels like the softness of a cat's fur brushing against your palm. She pulls us even closer, wanting to know if we feel it more.
现在我抱得更紧了，这样一来，我们就合二为一了。所以，被深深拥抱着的你，是什么感觉？
I've never felt better. The world is my representation. Such an observation, though partial, is not without truth. I love you. Such a fucking loser, bro. Through the tenderness of this moment, I actually felt fully immersed in the game. This moment is really what pulled me in. I don't know what it is, the music playing, the thematic meaning, the weight of the moment, or just the absurdity of it all, but it just got me. I hardly ever get fully immersed in any game I play, and am very aware that I'm sitting behind a screen. On the other end is a bunch of ones and zeros that determine the effect of what I do. But in this moment, in this game, I think I finally forgot about that and was completely immersed. Once we complete Chapter 2, we're greeted by our furnitures that we just saw earlier, and they talk about someone being missing. All the information we receive from our loyal servants is redacted, so we have no idea who this someone is. I'm just going to refer to this someone as Yana for now, so I don't have to keep repeating someone. What we do know about Yana is provided by the notebook. Yana is a girl who was once your something, and she's the same as something, and her traits include something and something. This is like Mad Libs at this point. She was once something, and then we choose something, which is why we now something, leading to her something. In short, the girl beyond the world has disappeared. This line is very important as the opening had us speaking to a girl beyond the world, hence her being gone. We have an opportunity to open the notebook, but if you try to do so, you'll get blocked by the mysterious girl from before. We learned her name is Lilith, and we spend a lot of this chapter bonding with her. This chapter really nails giving us some breadcrumbs on what has happened, but we promptly abandon them and spend time with Lilith, which is an amazing plot device. I don't know if it's just me, but every time Lilith is on screen, it is really enjoyable. While I love the mystery we received with Yana, Lilith looks very fun, and it's not detracting to spend time with her. One of the biggest things about this chapter is that Lilith acts very odd. While we're learning more about her, she says that she is our childhood friend, which we know we aren't, and you can call her out on it, which I did. What is she yapping about? This didn't happen. Am I tweaked? Am I amnetic in real life? What the fuck? She'll go on to add little details though, and will continue to insist that you are her childhood friend. This does put Lilith's motives into question, as why would someone here to help you be trying to gaslight you into thinking that they are your childhood friend? But I digress. Either way, you make a cake with Lilith and have a nice discussion about who she actually is, in which she just fucks with us. Generally, we gain nothing in terms of knowing who she actually is and just get further down a rabbit hole of who are you? This game is really good at repeatedly confusing you. I mean, what does crack the egg with immense sorrow even entail? We make the cake and almost turn the oven into a time machine again with our minds, which, again, I don't even want to start delving into. And then once we make the strawberry cake, Lilith ends up dropping it, and with immense sorrow, we go back to a couch scene. Lilith creates us a cake, and through imagining what it will taste like, we eat it. That concludes our third chapter and really sets the story up to be super wonky. It just makes stuff happen out of left field, and we are forced to roll with it. Now that we failed to make a cake, we're going to have this RPG with Lilith. This seems so random, like most things in this game, but it kind of makes sense in retrospect, but I'll get to that in a few moments. We go play this RPG called The Non-Existence of Morphine Paradox, The Forest of Silver Shallots, which is an actual game on Steam. I tried to find out if there's such a thing as the Morphine Paradox, but just got nothing, so it's probably a term made up solely for this game. Upon going further into this RPG Lilith made, we find it really doesn't make sense the further you dig into it. But if you suspend your disbelief, despite the game literally bringing it up as often as possible as a dialogue option, you can get to the end of this RPG and save the Princess Lilith, who's been with you the entire time. Another thing to note is that there's another character introduced in this chapter who is a scholar. You meet them as a side quest where they're trying to make a dating sim, with the plot being about a mandrake plant that is actually a white-haired, red-eyed girl that you bump into on the way to class and coincidentally have all the class. It just becomes a normal dating sim plot. It literally just devolves into a normal dating sim plot. Something I didn't realize while playing this though is you can actually change the plot of the dating sim to make it really unique. I thought I was supposed to be the generic one, but you can actually just make it exclusively about hamburger patties, and either way she's going to be astounded with it. A little time skip happens, and this chapter ends with us defeating the Demon King using the Morphine Codex and writing down her weakness, which I chose was a fear of criticism. We do try some odd strategies to defeat the Demon King, like eating the Morphine Codex, which doesn't work, but criticizing her does. Upon defeating her, Princess Lilith and we, the player, live happily ever after and go back to the main world. Once we finish the RPG, we owe Lilith some form of repayment by going outside. Now, to a certain extent, it's a very approachable goal. I mean, just open the door and walk out. But at the same time, it is scary for someone who suffers from social anxiety. I think it's pretty clear throughout the story that we have intense social anxiety. We've been inside almost the whole game and are turning to escapism in the form of an RPG to go and cope with that. But the door that stands before us is incredibly imposing. We don't know the last time we opened it, but thanks to Lilith, we managed to grab the handle and open the door. When we go outside on our walk, we find a stranger on the bench that we wish to sit on, and he is intimidating to say the least. We cannot even look at his face due to pure fear. Lilith attempts to speak to him, but he doesn't react to her words, and with much effort we try speaking to him and he replies in symbols we cannot understand. Lilith recommends making small talk so we can be friendly and allowed to sit, but he doesn't reply kindly and just continues talking in ways we cannot understand. With each interaction, the process of talking to the man becomes more gargantuan and requires more effort. After the repeated inability to understand him, we break. I can't take this anymore. I want to go back. 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 I want to go back.
Lilith steps in and we feel way better than before. That scene really nailed the feeling of getting a panic attack, at least in my opinion. The sudden urge to want to go back is really what I feel when I have one personally, but I did add that being repeated just because I felt like it added to the atmosphere, but it still does feel very true to real life in the game. Either way, Lilith wants to go on a date, which, like, sign me up. I'm so lonely. We arrive at the Ferris wheel and find it's closed for the time being. Lilith magically turns it on though, and we get on it with her. We can finally ask her some questions that have been deep-rooted in our minds this whole time, and when we get to decompress and tell Lilith about our insecurities, to which her response is telling us about her new band. We get to learn about Hoist Clo and get a mid-at-best music video. You can see I was AFK during this and walked back right after the song finished and didn't even notice. Either way, after that, we get to talk to all the band members. After the song, we get some interesting information from all three. We find out that they all said that they wrote the song and reveal insecurities about one another, saying that a certain friend revealed it to them. They all made a pact with Lilith too to keep the band together forever. All the band members introducing themselves as the main character of the band is really interesting as it shows the subjectivity of all of them. And while who actually wrote the lyrics is irrelevant, the fact that they all claim to is important. Us being the A+ students we are, we deduce that Lilith is the person who revealed the secrets and confront her on it once the band members have left. She said she simply revealed the truth and the other members came up with what that meant, I think. This part is very difficult to dissect, honestly, and left me feeling very lost. I have really tried to figure out what she means with all this, but the part after makes much more sense in my opinion. She goes into the nature of subjectivity and how in order to prove your subjectivity, you have to undermine someone else's at some point. She then goes on to talk about her subjectivity and how it is willing to be revoked for our subjectivity. This really puts in perspective that she exists for us. She even says she's willing to get rid of her proof of existence for us. We embrace Lilith in a hug, and then... Do you guys remember that one part really early on that I talked about with the notebook like 8 minutes ago?
This chapter really nails giving us some breadcrumbs on what has happened, but we promptly abandon.
Yeah, well, the notebook is back now, and it reveals that Lilith is the girl beyond the world. Which I kind of feels like a little obvious now. The Ferris wheel's power shuts off and she jumps in with us. We pass out, and when we wake up, whoa. I need to go close my door so my parents don't kill me real quick. Apparently we're sick, and Lilith prescribes us some medicine that is 1000% not candy. We can hear her hair ribbon and she gives us the yellow pill, and then asks for our remaining symptoms. The options we have make no sense at all, but it did get a little chuckle out of me. We get 2 more pills, and we ask for more because they taste pretty good, but Lilith says we can't because of certain death, which there is no shot candy would kill us. The pills in your stomach begin talking, and they tell you a story of what happened to the last people who ate more than 3 pills. Apparently they turned into magical girls, and due to how fantastical their outfits were, they were ecstatic. But once they returned back, they were horrified with their old school outfits and committed suicide. While that story sounds very random and completely made up, Lilith decides to withhold the pill until she puts a little spell on us that allows us to eat the 4th pill. Even after this, the screen fades to black and you have one sole question on your mind. Who is Lilith? You know, she clearly doesn't exist, at least in a physical sense, and she knows everything you feel. She recognizes it even when you don't physically show any signs. What is Lilith? Lilith stares at you and a flood of questions appear, each one filling or poking at a plot hole in the story. How did she get you into your room? She can't touch the cake and it fell. What happened when we came back from the Ferris wheel? Does Lilith truly exist?
存在，不存在，这应该由你来回答啊。
And poof, she's gone, and sitting there is the black notebook. You open it and it reads, I've been here all along, dear one. Will I commit suicide soon, you think? Maybe from too much life pressure. Or maybe because I'm too lost in some non-existent fantasies. Or perhaps I'll be devastated because there's no one in reality who can truly understand me like you do. I love you so deeply. It's not just a hobby, it's a way of life. My spiritual pillar. You're my role model, my goal, my source of happiness. Do you know? Sometimes my heart aches because I can't convey my love to you. Reality is truly bewildering. I want to go where you are, but how? Maybe find you there. Could death make it happen? They say there's an afterlife, right? If dying could fulfill my wish, I might as well die now. But if that wouldn't work, if it wouldn't work, then I'll stay here waiting for you. Please, when you feel my feelings, come find me. I'll always be here. You flip through the notebook. The memories of what was and what is going to be flood through your mind. You had poured your feelings of what love was into creating her, Lilith. She's a tulpa. You grapple with your feelings for her. You love her, you hate her, you want to end her, but you also want to embrace her existence. This is where I'll stop summarizing the story. There's one final chapter after the credits roll. One that talks to the player, the person behind the screen, and I think is an amazing chapter that really defines what this game is. But I think that even though I've summarized this whole game, I won't summarize that. Credits roll, and that concludes the game. Now I have to address the title of this video, The Game That Truly Changed Me. I know that's a bit of a large, grandiose statement, but this game really did alter how I perceive things. I, just like the main character from the game, suffer from social anxiety, and seeing that Lilith was comforting the main character kind of gave me a sense of hope. I have never intentionally made a tulpa, and I don't have any plans to, but this game did give me some ideas on how to cope with it. It's also one of the first pieces of media that really made me analyze things as deeply as I can, and while I didn't go super far in depth here, it's what got the ball rolling. Now something you might be wondering is, what is a tulpa? A tulpa is something adjacent to an imaginary friend. It started as a Tibetan Buddhist technique, but has evolved into a way for people with conditions like schizophrenia, social anxiety, trauma without PTSD, and other things to deal with it. It's basically a second consciousness inhabiting your mind that you cannot control. They gain a large degree of independence, and on occasion the Tulpamancer, someone who makes a tulpa, has to kill them. One of the endings of this game features the protagonist having to kill Lilith. I know I said I wouldn't go far into the last chapter, but I think I'll describe this one ending. The protagonist screams at Lilith, proclaiming she doesn't exist and that nothing kind could ever happen to him. He strangles the life out of her, which she accepts as she is the truest form of love. He screams that she doesn't exist over and over and over again for a long time, and it's incredibly uncomfortable to sit through. He now steps out into the real world alone, just like he was before this. I'm referring to the protagonist here in the third person because this choice is fully out of the player's hands. You didn't kill Lilith, the protagonist did. That note in the notebook I read changes depending which ending you get in the story. This detail cements the fact that the protagonist will fail, because he has lost his way to cope with reality. No matter who you are, you need some way to cope with the stress that reality puts you through, whether that is some form of hobby or art or anything in between. You need something, and he just lost his only coping mechanism. I think this game has the protagonist coming back to the start after this, as this is where we pick up off of when we finish the game. Despite his hatred towards Lilith in this ending, he needs her. Just off the top of my head, Lilith manages to help the player in a multitude of ways. She brings him out of whatever sleep they're in at the start, she pushes him to go outside and pushes him to interact with the stranger, and finally takes control of his body after the fall from the Ferris wheel. How else would we have gotten home? By the way, recording that ending sucked. I did not want to kill her, and now my good ending save file is completely gone. I'm a little mad about that.
Tulpas generally are considered a positive thing, though. According to a study by the University of Texas at Austin, around 78% of people report having some form of positive relationship with their tulpas. Tulpas have even stopped suicide attempts by taking control of the host's or the tulpamancer's body. I'm by no means recommending tulpas to people, but they are a way to cope for some individuals. While they work sometimes, that counter-argument is rough. As we saw in the note, never being able to touch, feel, or just knowing that your tulpa isn't physically real has rough consequences. While every site I went to about the dangers of tulpamancy looked like this, there is some risk posed in the same article by the University of Texas about potential dangers. Some risks are negligible, such as mental strain due to having to basically run 2 people at once in your mind. But things like distress from the tulpa and social isolation, which is what we see our main character delving into in the game, are huge potential consequences to face. His finisher, while being our eyes and ears, are also tulpas, and even the side characters are tulpas. When we're opposed with a real person, we can't bear to look at them in the eyes due to our social isolation and anxiety catching up with us. In the non-existence of Yumi, there are 2 other endings that are calmer in my opinion. One where you and Lilith work together and go and attempt to best the world, the good ending. And one where you can't bear to be alive anymore in a world where Lilith doesn't exist, and you quietly succumb to your death, the neutral ending. While I gave the gist of these endings, I didn't go all the way into them, and there's so much more, so there's plenty left to explore if you choose. One big thing here to add is that tulpas are not considered to be a mental disorder. They are simply something that someone who is capable of doing so chooses to. The story not only hit me hard, but pulled me in. When I was younger, I used to be pretty alone. I had some friends who lived nearby, and we were really close, but once I hit middle school, they moved away. And then COVID hit, so I was locked inside my house. I remember making imaginary friends, what I would refer to as tulpas now, as to cope with this, and it worked for quite some time. I was definitely out of the age for imaginary friends to be considered normal, but I kind of just ended up making them by accident. I didn't intentionally do it. I do remember just having them. I never remembered the creation process, but I eventually grew out of them and made real friends as I got older, but I guess they stuck with me to some form of extent. Oh man, this video has been the most difficult one to make, I'm not gonna lie. Like, holy crap, this script is what, 23 pages long? This kind of explains the massive gap between uploads. It's been a rough one. I've been having so much going on this past 2 weeks, but it's gonna be out soon, hopefully. And by the way, I watched Ludwig's Streamer U classes, and I'm taking some notes from them. For example, these are my goals for the year. I'm not presenting them so I could coax you guys into helping me hit them, but more of I'm trying to keep myself accountable going forwards. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, like or subscribe, that would be fire. I spent forever editing this video. It was originally about an hour long, but I managed to cut a lot of filler and made it shorter, so that's good. Okay, bye.